Hey everyone, welcome to the Infinite Binge. We are talking about Stranger Things Season 2, Episode 1. Well, Chapter 1, Mad Max. I'm Jake, and who else is here?
Kevin is here.
And you cannot resist these pearls. Andrew.
It's back.
It's back.
It is.
And looking promising.
Absolutely.
And there's some actors from famous 80s movies in there.
Yo, Samwise. Samwise is in it.
No.
Find Rudy.
No.
Nope.
Well, those are the things I like the most that he's been in.
Well, you
There's
are
something
definitively
more
wrong.
comparable. There's something more comparable to what we're watching that he was in.
I
And
understand
that we've in fact referenced on previous installments of this very discussion show. So I think that should we just go into the credits editions and
Sure.
just go to those real quick? And we go to the two main ones. So the first one that we're referring to is Sean Astin, who now that we have an actual Goonie on Stranger Things, do we still get to call them the Googers?
I feel like that means even more so.
Even
that
more
we
so?
need to call
Yeah,
them the Googers.
I think they doubled down on it.
And then the other one was Paul Reiser. So
Burke.
we get to call Paul Reiser Burke in every situation, right?
Yeah. When he was like saying, "Trust me," I was like, "No, you're Burke."
No, you're Burke. I absolutely do not trust you. It's like I just need him to at some point just say something to the effect of, the Demogorgon mostly comes out at night, mostly. But anyway, it's really cool that they got those two in there. I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, because they're both good actors, they're both entertaining to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Should we jump into the rest of it?
Yeah, let's jump right in.
Mad Max.
Pittsburgh, October 28th, 1984. There's a heist happening with Halloween masks. Cops are chasing him. Like Callie makes part of a bridge collapse. Or did she?
Yeah, they definitely make it seem that way.
Wait a sec. Never mind. I was going to say, oh boy, I was going to ask how you knew her name. And then I realized, oh yeah, they said it. Keep going.
So, yeah, so her nose bleeds and she kind of wipes it away and reveals like a 008 tattooed on her wrist. So she's obviously from the same thing.
Yeah, but would they really have just let like a kid go into the wild?
Let her go, or I mean, I don't think these people were adept at keeping them there. Obviously,
Well, yeah.
but they weren't able to contain 11.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, so she's obviously with the same thing. But one thing that I did want to discuss very briefly was the fact that her name is Kali. And if we've seen our Indiana Jones and the Temple of Dooms, we know that Kali is a Hindu goddess, and she is the goddess of time, creation, destruction, and power. So I think that probably means something.
Maybe.
It's possible.
Or she's just gonna rip a man's heart from his chest.
Kali Ma. Anyway, I just thought I knew that Kali was one of the Hindu gods or goddesses, and I wanted to double check on that before we so I could pepper that in.
When I was watching that opening scene though, the chase though, I had to rewind, or not rewind, but like go back a couple of scenes, because one of the cops in that very first car, I was like, wait a sec, was that Hopper with the mustache? But it wasn't. But it looked like him.
Yeah, so I mean it was kind of neat, but and I like how it was that she made him think that the bridge was collapsing down, but didn't actually do it. So that makes
Yeah,
me
so
want.
maybe it seems that she has different powers than 11.
Yeah. So, like, the other thing was, like, as they were driving away from the scene of the crime, she was like, turn right here into this alley. And it's almost like she has, like, precognition abilities, maybe. I don't know. That's just the way it seemed to me.
Yeah, I'm very interested. I want to see.
Yeah.
I want to see more.
Yeah, I want to see the rest of the Nubians. I mean, these subjects.
But that was the only time we saw them in this episode.
Yeah. And I think we should probably add that as we are watching this, we are not like we have not. None of us have seen the rest of the episodes, or like any of the rest of the episodes. We're taking this one by one.
Yeah. So Kevin, what happened next?
Well, the credits. Yeah, after the credits.
Thanks.
Well, you gotta, well, because it's new. It says Stranger Things and it has a cool music, but then it has a big number 2 now, which actually, to stay on the credits real quick, it's weird that they're calling it Stranger Things 2 instead of like season 2. I don't know. That just seems odd to me.
Yeah, I can get that.
It doesn't. I feel like it just doesn't come off the tongue as well. I don't know. But anyways, it cuts to Dustin and Lucas trying to scrounge up some money and some quarters and stuff, and they're all radioing each other trying to see how much they got. They call Mike. He's just sitting in his little bed fort thing, and he hasn't looked for any, so he runs up to Nancy's room, goes through her drawers, was grossed out by a bra, and then finds her piggy bank. And then he starts like pouring it out. She catches him, and then he does the "I'll pay you back," and then runs off. And as she chases him through the house, and good old Ted is back with his "no running in the house." And then Mike gets on his bike and takes off, and Nancy calls him an asshole.
They definitely curse more in this first episode. Like, because Dustin's running around the house like, son of a bitch. Like, all this stuff.
Oh, yeah, that was good. Yeah, he makes his... And we're introduced to Dustin's mother as well.
And his cat.
And that. And well, I'd say her cat. But yeah, because he forces her off of her chair.
So you can look for quarters in there.
Yeah, get like 2 quarters.
That's like a one play of what they were playing. I guess that leads into the next thing, is that they go to the arcade, and I don't really think of Devo as music to be playing in an arcade. Like, to me, if you're in an arcade in the 80s, that Journey has to be playing, but that's probably just because of like the strong association with like Tron.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that because of Tron?
It kind of is. But so yeah, Will gets dropped off by his mom, and she's kind of still doing the whole, hey, if you need to come home, just ask him to use the phone and all this other stuff. So you can see
I'd say she's being a little overprotective, but given the past events, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah. Like, I would have thought that by this point, having been about a year later, that things would have let up a little bit, and you would have returned to a little bit of normalcy.
Well, as normal as you can get after going to another dimension.
Well,
almost getting eaten.
Yeah, by a monster. So, but they're playing Dragon Slayer.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was an arcade game.
Oh yeah, oh man, that thing 8 quarters.
Yeah, because it was all trial and error, so unless you knew which direction you had to go.
So, did you guys ever play Dragon Slayer back in the day?
I did, but not in the arcade.
Yeah.
That thing was on everything, though.
Yeah.
I think that you could play that on DVD.
Didn't they remaster it a couple of years ago for like PlayStation and Xbox too?
I think so.
Wasn't there like a 3D platforming game too? I want to say there was like a 3D version of that game.
Oh man, this thing has been released on so many platforms, it's not even funny.
Everything.
It was released most recently in 2013 on Windows and OS X. You can play it on Steam.
Dragon's Lair 3D is what I was thinking of.
3D Return to the Lair. Oh man, that's an OG Xbox game.
Yep. Not a great one either.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like it's also on. It was also on GameCube and PlayStation 2. It was on PlayStation 2 in Europe, but it was also on Windows here. Doesn't look like it got good reviews.
It doesn't look that good.
It wasn't good.
Anyway, we should get back to.
We should. They were playing the Dragon's Lair, and then the guy came up, and because they said, well, at least I saw the top score on Dig Dug and Centipede, and then a guy came up and was like, nope, do you?
Which I think that guy is like he's kind of like the pimply faced youth that you would see in like The Simpsons or something, like, you know, just made into an actual person.
He despises Dig Dug.
Yeah, because it's not him. So they go over and they look at Dig Dug and they see that MADMAX has the high score. And Keith will tell them who MADMAX is, but he wants a date with Nancy.
But that's not happening.
Yeah,
Even though it would be for a good cause.
Yeah, Mike won't prostitute his sister.
Now, let's be real. Even if Mike would, it is like, you know, as skipping ahead just slightly, we find out Nancy is still with Steve. So like, that guy he has to know that.
Yeah, so what would he? So A, what would he be giving up by trying to do that? And B, like she would never go out with him anyway.
Or it's I'm going out with Steve. I'll just go out with you, Keith. Like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah, so it's like, but I admire his. I won't prostitute my sister.
Yeah, yeah.
So then we see Brett Gelman.
Well, before that, we see Will sees the Upside Down.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he has like a flashback or a hallucination.
Well, he has a like vision basically where he doesn't go there, but he can like see it. What's happening there?
Maybe that's what's going on, or he's just having.
Yeah, Brett Gelman.
Yeah, Brett Gelman shows up, famous comedian.
Every time I see him, my wife always calls him like Mr. K because he was in a show where they went by like their last initial or something. So I was like, hey, it's Mr. K. I never watched that show, but it's Mr. K.
I always think of his character from The Other Guys movie.
Oh, yeah.
And every time I see him, I just imagine, who wants some Arnie Palmies? It's a funny movie.
It is a funny movie. Also, Twin Peaks.
Yes. But, anyways, so he's accosting Hopper about the Russians. Because they're Russian spies.
Yeah, and he thinks that 11 is a Russian spy. Which
kind of, like, you can see Hopper, you can see his ears kind of like prick up.
Well, it's funny because he's not really that far off, just wrong country. But I love that, and they don't go into it other than he also at some point came to them about aliens, and I kind of wish that that's what they opened with.
So then it goes to Nancy and Steve in the car, and she's reading his college admissions essay, and he needs some help.
Some serious help.
It's bad.
His basketball team is connected to his grandfather in World War II because they both won.
It is sound logic.
I mean, I think he should get into Harvard for that alone. But he decides that maybe he'll just work for his dad instead of going to college.
Yeah, because it's got benefits and insurance and that type of adult stuff.
And then you hear a loud car pull up.
A nice V8.
They all have to get out of Nancy and Steve get out of the car so they can see what's happening. And then you see the cool dude get out of the Camaro.
And his younger sister.
Yeah.
With her skateboard.
Yeah. And then all the girls are like, oh, he's so hot. Look at his ass.
Oh, to be fair, with as much objectification of women goes on, I feel like Turnabout is fair play here.
Oh no, I just
especially Especially with the thing with Keith wanting a date with Nancy, like not 2 minutes prior. I don't know. I saw that whole sequence just kind of made me roll my eyes. Like especially like starting with the guy pulling up in the Camaro trying to act like he's hot shit, and it's like, oh, I knew guys like this in high school.
Yeah,
And
like that's a slow Camaro.
yeah, I was like just sitting in there thinking, God, this is why I don't miss high school.
Then it cuts to Will, and he finds a note in his locker that says "Zombie Boy" on it. And then it cuts to Mr. Clark's class, and should they still be all in his class? Shouldn't they have moved on to a new grade?
So, like, when I was in middle school, it was like, so 7th and 8th grade was middle school.
Right.
We would go between different classes, like, you'd have math or social studies or science or English, what have you. And it was not unusual for teachers of some subjects to teach both 7th and 8th grade.
Okay.
So in a smaller town like this, I would not think it weird if the middle school science teacher taught both 7th and 8th grade science.
Good to know.
But there's a new kid in class, and it's Maxine, but she goes by Max.
And they all think it's her. She's the high score.
I mean, they're not wrong.
They're not wrong.
Yeah, spoilers.
Except Mike. Mike's wrong.
Yeah, Mike doesn't. He's the only one who's like, no, it's not her. And they're all like, yeah, it's got to be her. Who else would it be? But Mike's just being a grump.
I think that's the they could have also subtitled this episode instead of MADMAX. It could just be Mike as a grump.
MADMAX and Grumpy Mike. I'd watch that movie.
Yeah, Mike has gone beyond Thunderdome with his grumpiness.
I don't know if it's grumpiness so much as it is he had a friend die, at least as far as he knows.
Yeah, all he really knows is that she's no longer there.
Right. So what happened next? So
then we have Joyce. She's working at the general store, and it's not very busy, so she's like stitching a Ghostbusters patch. And then Mikey from the Goonies enters, and his name in this is actually Bob, but it's Sean Astin. And he and Joyce are an item, and they're like sucking face.
Oh, they're going hardcore in the back.
Well, I wouldn't say hardcore. Like, they're making out, but they're not. There's no like.
For Stranger Things, they're going hardcore.
Well, but what about that first season with Nancy and Steve?
I forgot about that. I rescind my previous statement.
I don't know. These two were knocking stuff off of shelves. And then he said that just get fired. That way I can hire you. So I guess he owns a store. He's a rich guy.
Yeah, he owns some electronics store. I'm thinking it's going to be like a Radio Shack or something.
I think I actually did read that it is a Radio Shack, so...
I could see that. It's the 80s.
Oh, nice. Also, R.I.P. Radio Shack.
Well, I'm sitting there, and I'm if it is in fact a Radio Shack, what I really want is someone to say, "Oh, Radio Shack, they're going to be around forever."
No, that'd be too cold.
That would be like just so perfect.
Well, later in this episode, Jonathan shows up with 3 VHS tapes that were rented from Blockbuster, right?
No, Family Video.
Yeah,
Family Video.
Say, those were Blockbusters.
Okay.
And I think Family Video is the only video store that's still around. But
is that a chain?
Yeah, but I think it started in the South.
Yeah, Blockbuster actually did not even exist yet.
Okay.
Oh, I take it
Founded
back.
in 1985. So,
Family Video started in 1978. It is privately owned. It's headquartered in Glenview, Illinois, and has over 775 stores in North America, with the heaviest concentration in the Midwest. I never saw one until like way later, like probably into the either the very late 90s or the 2000s. But in 2013, they surpassed Blockbuster as the largest video rental chain in the U.S.
I don't know if I've ever seen one. I may have when I was a
I've
kid.
seen one. But now I'm just feeling sad thinking about how Blockbuster's not around anymore.
I'm not. I mean,
I love Blockbuster.
My family owned a couple of video stores, so it was like one of those things of.
Yeah, that's different for you.
Well, no, I'm not. It's not that I'm. Well, I'm not like, yeah, Blockbuster. Oh, you guys are dead. But it was just, I don't know. I don't know. I kind of want to see the whole industry die a little bit. Not that I want to see people out of work, but yeah.
Well, I mean, the physical video rental kind of has.
Well, and you know what has really done it? I think is Redbox.
Yeah,
And on
and
demand.
streaming.
And on demand was always kind of the one thing that we thought about was like that's going to be what's going to get people in the end. Was that on demand was just going to become such a thing. It's going to be so easy and so relatively inexpensive that why would anyone ever go to a video store? But anyway, let's get back to the pumpkins.
Where were we?
The pumpkins. So one of the things that happened, like when Brett Gelman was in, or Murray was in Hopper's office, Hopper got saved from Flo calling his phone and basically giving him some softball thing to go check out, just to get him out of the conversation with Murray. So he goes out, and this guy owns a pumpkin patch, and all of his pumpkins are like messed up, and he's convinced, the farmer's convinced that it's his neighbor, or it's this other guy who started the whole pick pumpkin
Eugene
thing
or something?
Well, Eugene is the other guy.
Yeah, the other guy. But it ain't Eugene. You know it's not Eugene.
It's one of his field hands, and I thought field hands was such a weird thing that sounds antiquated.
Yeah, but Hopper knows. It's also no field hand. That's a lot of pumpkins to kill in like overnight. That are like
what kind of poison could
rotted.
do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but Hopper was like looking over at here's something rustling in some of the corn. I was I need to go look. I was like trying to think. It's like, should there still be corn up around this time of year? Unless you're doing like a corn maze. But that's beside the point. But he is kind of looking for something, and he gets startled by a crow.
He almost shot it.
Yeah, and then he cursed at it.
I kind of wish he did.
That would have been kind of funny.
But then what it cuts back to the school, Nancy and Jonathan walking out of class, and Nancy getting some Halloween party invitation. She asks for a second one and gives it to Jonathan. They have the nice Halloween pun of come and get sheet-faced. Thought that was pretty good. But then he says he won't go because he'll be out trick-or-treating with Will.
Yeah, and then I really liked how Nancy tried to surmise what he would be doing after trick-or-treating, because he'd only be out until about 8 o'clock trick-or-treating with Will. And then she was like, oh, you're gonna be at home, you're gonna be listening to Talking Heads and reading Vonnegut. It's like, oh, that sounds like a good night.
Yeah, he was quite all right with that.
The next scene was back at the arcade, right?
No, I think it was at the school.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They were spying.
Yeah, they were spying on her.
On Max.
Yeah, on Max. And they're saying that girls don't play video games. And
plus she skateboards. So she's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Mike had some snarky comment. How do you know she's awesome?
It's like, I don't know, Mike continuing to be grumpy.
He's being a Debbie Downer.
There's a word I have for people like that. He's being a real grumble puss.
Wow. Are you like 83?
Yes.
Are you my great grandmother?
No, your great grandfather.
Well.
Then she walks away, and they see that she threw something in the trash, so they all run up to see what it is.
And getting real weird looks.
Yeah, as they should. I mean, one of them is like leaning over that trash can is basically just like practically
He's in
upside
it.
down in it.
He's in it. Which I will say, I thought it was a little weird that they were going into the No, it was very weird that they were
Yeah.
like, yo, let's go see what she threw in the garbage.
Well, turns out it was trash. But no, it was a note that said, "Stop spying on me, creeps." Then they come and get Will because he has a meeting with Burke, and he picks his desert island candy.
A good choice. I love Reese's Pieces.
I'd go with the peanut butter cups though.
I probably would, but I too do love Reese's Pieces.
Reese's Pieces are good. I think I prefer the peanut butter M&Ms to the Reese's Pieces though.
See, Reese's Pieces, shocking we're talking about food, I know. Those for me are the quintessential, I'm going to the movie theater, gonna snag me a bag of Reese's Pieces to eat.
Is this because of ET?
Probably not. If it were E.T., I'd be getting a walkie-talkie to bring with me.
That's true.
I'll be right here.
But yeah, what they put a bunch of like little electro thing sensors on his head
Electrodes?
and
Are they
chest
called
and stuff.
electrodes?
I don't
Yeah.
care what they're called. And then he starts talking about his visions.
And it obviously changes something about his brainwaves.
Yeah, like the more he talks about it, then the crazier things. I don't know how that stuff works, but the more things happen with it.
But yeah, he basically says that he got a bad feeling, like that what he saw was evil. And when asked about what kind of evil, he says that like it wanted to kill, but it
wanted to kill you?
No, it wanted to kill everyone else.
So why didn't it want to kill him?
Well, see, that's it. I was thinking about that, and since he spit up what we presume to be the new Demogorgon, or whatever they're going to call it, I would think that because he's like its mother, and it incubated inside of him, it's okay with leaving him alive, but it wants to kill everyone else.
Okay, I could see that.
It's the Thessal Hydra.
It's the alien resurrection situation.
All I know is the Goozers are going to wind up taking it out in the end.
Whoa. Wait a second. You know who was in Alien Resurrection?
Don't.
Ron Perlman.
Winona Ryder.
That is true.
Yes, she was. I forgot about that. That was a bad movie.
Follow the money, Kevin.
Stop.
So we've got Burke from Aliens. We've got, I don't remember what her character's name was from Alien Resurrection.
She was a robot. Call her robot.
Yeah, robot. So anyway, not Bishop. But anyway, Burke seems like he's better than Brenner. I don't even know that they actually say what his name is.
Yeah,
So until they do, we're going to continue to call him Burke.
And we'll probably continue calling him Burke after they do.
No, you definitely will.
So yeah, but Burke describes the anniversary effect, and it's talking like post-traumatic stress. Now they need to treat him normally and kind of let Will kind of lead the way, and kind of talks about how the people who were in charge of the lab from before they're all gone, and he wants them to trust him.
And like I said before, don't trust him.
No,
Never trust him.
Yeah, he's going to try to sneak Thessal Hydras off of LV 426 inside you and Newt, and it's all going to be a bad time.
But then they start leaving, and then so I can't tell because they have a scene as they're leaving. You know, Hopper's kind of saying goodbye, and he mentioned, you know, they briefly bring up Bob and Joyce and Bob. And did they like get together briefly? Because it almost seems like they did, but I can't tell.
It kind of seems like
Or
they bonded a bit.
Yeah, or they almost did, but they didn't, kind of thing, you know?
It almost feels like a will they, won't they thing. Like that's going to be, like they're going to be the will they, won't they of this show, or maybe like them, or maybe Jonathan and Nancy will be the will they, won't they.
Oh, they already are the will they, won't they?
But yeah, so it definitely seems like that Bob being there, like I think that's probably the difference. Like Bob being there very obviously kind of irritates Hopper.
Well, it's like Steve and Jonathan.
Well, but I feel like Jonathan is like, well, I don't want to get in the way here.
Yeah.
And as we'll kind of discuss a little bit later, like you can tell that Hopper is kind of, he feels like he's on high alert and he's kind of duty bound to kind of keep track of everything that's going on in the town. And he doesn't really have time. I don't think he really has time for like an actual relationship. And maybe that's partly what's going on here.
Yeah, but then cut back to Burke, and they're still doing stuff. Not quite the same kind of stuff, but they're still doing stuff.
It's like they're trying to keep something at bay.
Well, that's so. Is it keep it at bay, or because that was just so? He goes in, he says hi to the guy, and he's like, "Oh, how's the weather today?" And he's like, "Oh, it's gonna be another hot one." As he like puts on a flame resistant suit, holding a flamethrower, and then a guy walks into another room and starts shooting it at the like portal doorway to the upside down.
He was burning up the tentacles that were coming through.
Well, or was it because in my the thing I was thinking too is that maybe it's one of those they want to shut the door, but you can't once it's like once it's open you can't. So the best thing they can do is just kind of make it smaller.
I was figuring that it was like the tentacles were coming through and it was going to start changing like our dimension to be more like the upside down, so they had to keep burning it away to stop it from happening.
Yeah, maybe that too. That would make sense too.
And the tentacles were like screaming, right? There was like a noise when they were getting burned.
I think that was just the burning stuff noise. I didn't really notice any screams.
Okay.
Maybe there were, I don't know, who knows.
Then cut back to the arcade. And she will not be able to resist those pearls. And Dustin and Lucas are stalking around the arcade. And, of course, she's the MADMAX.
Because she's slaying Dig Dug.
Yep.
I remember the days of trying to figure out who I should date based on how good they were at video games.
Really?
No.
And how impressed they were with your teeth? With your pearls? Then it cuts back to Mike and the fam. They seem to be getting a little tired of Mike's crap.
Can you blame them?
No.
But it seems like Ted wants... So they're using the strike three, like 3 strikes and you're out analogy.
Yeah.
And Ted's like... They're like... His mom's like, it's not strike 1. It's not even strike 3. And then his dad's like, it's like strike 20 and you're on the bench, son.
And he said, you're lucky to still be on the team.
Yeah, it's like if it was my coach, I wouldn't even... may not even be on the team.
Yeah,
like, oh my god,
like, what are you talking about?
Is he implying putting him, like, kicking him out? Is that what he's implying?
Yeah, Ted's an idiot.
Ted's a moron. Oh my god. It's like, how can you be this bad at parenting?
What if it's all, like, fake? It's all an act. He's actually working for the Department of Energy?
I don't think he's smart enough to act this way.
Actually,
that's ascribing like too much motivation to that character.
But you just brought up the most reasonable explanation for him possibly working there is the lack of smarts.
That's true. They only hire idiots.
He's the patsy because he's like even dumber than the regular ones.
He's the leader.
He's the leader.
They're that dumb.
He's the CEO of Evil Incorporated.
Evil Ecor.
Yeah, Ecor.
So this is now confirmed to be in the same timeline as Mr. Robot,
and everything makes sense.
So it kind of after this it cuts to Steve and Nancy.
This is the most depressing scene of the entire series.
Yep, I was waiting for it. I was waiting.
So earlier they mentioned something about like having to go to a dinner, and they had canceled the week before. So they visit Barb's parents for dinner, and Barb's mom kind of apologizes that she wasn't able to make the ziti that she liked, or that she knew that they liked. So she picks up KFC, and Steve's like, "I love KFC."
I mean, KFC in the 80s was really good.
They still make good biscuits.
They're okay.
Am I crazy in remembering KFC being way better in the 80s than it is now?
Well, like for a while, the KFC in my town was good, but then like it became crap, and then it got better again after it like got shut down. Because I think it got shut down by like the health department.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah. So I think they got like their franchise revoked and had someone else like open one.
The only place around me that I loved that got shut down for that was Red Lobster. That was a hard day.
So they're discussing Murray Bauman, who is the Brett Gelman character, taking the case of Barb being missing, and they kind of bring up the fact that there's a for sale sign in front of their house. So now Barb has to wrestle with the fact that she knows what happened to Barb, or Nancy knows what happened to Barb, but she can't tell her parents for obvious reasons, and now they're making like a catastrophic financial decision based on the hope that Barb is still out there.
Yeah. Like I said, the most depressing scene of the entire series.
Hey, but that chick in his finger looking good.
It looked pretty good, I'm not gonna lie.
Do you guys get original recipe, or do you get like extra recipe?
I don't even know anymore.
I think I get original, or sometimes I'll get the grilled.
I do like the crispy a lot, though.
The crispy is pretty good.
I'm not gonna lie, though, I haven't been to a KFC in a very long time.
Yeah, there's other like legitimate chicken places around, so I just go to those instead.
Well, and the fact that I'm in the Louisville area, where the big cemetery here, that is where Colonel Sanders is buried. There are better places to get actual real fried chicken in Kentucky than KFC.
Do you have Bojangles there?
No, but I've heard
Popeyes.
about. I have heard about. There's a Popeyes like within walking distance.
What about Church's?
No,
I've had Church's once. Pretty good.
I think Popeyes is probably the best.
Have you had Church's?
Yeah, when I had it, it was really dried out.
Oh, the one I went to, it was quite good. But Popeyes is good too. Popeyes is real good.
You get the spicy kind.
Yeah, that's pretty good. They also do decent like shrimp. Like for a fast food place, the shrimp there is decent.
This podcast is not sponsored by Popeyes
or KFC or Family Video.
But if you'd like to,
or Newman's Own, you know what? If Newman's Own and Kellogg's, they could sponsor us, and we could get a whole bunch of Fig Newmans and Eggos.
I feel like every episode we are one step closer to this just becoming a full-on food podcast.
I'm down.
So, Kevin, you want to take the next?
Yeah. So, well, I think it cuts to Mike down in his little basement, Mike cave, getting all his 2 boxes of toys he's been forced into giving up for the yard sale, and he's a bunch of stuff. It's reminding him of Elle, and then he's trying to talk to her in the walkie, trying to be like, are you there? It's day 352, and then he gets up, starts walking away, and there's a response, and so he gets all excited and runs over, and then it's Dustin, and Dustin's like, it is Max or something, and then Mike just says, yeah, I'm busy, and just shuts it off.
Yeah, and like every time that they call him on that, they're always like, why are you on this channel?
Yeah.
So I don't know if they moved channels because of the whole thing. I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, that's when Dustin kind of is talking to Lucas and says, like, our party is not a dictatorship.
Yeah, because what they were talking about, trying to get Max to like join the squad, the Goosier squad. But then it cuts away to Rudy videotaping Joyce making some homemade popcorn on the stove.
Some Jiffy Pop.
Yeah, it was Jiffy Pop.
And saying it's the future. Video cameras are the future, which
he's not wrong.
Unfortunately, very much are. especially in the sense of someone being filmed or photographed with food.
But then it goes back to Will. He's drawing Zombie Boy. And he's talking with Jonathan about how he wants everyone just to treat him normal. And Jonathan's like, no, you're a freak. And he says, no, being a freak is good. He says, who would you rather be friends with, Bowie or Kenny Rogers?
Kenny Rogers? I love Kenny Rogers.
Yeah, I gotta pause here. Bowie's awesome, don't get me wrong. I would way
Just-
rather be friends with Kenny Rogers.
Well, yeah, Kenny Rogers is still alive.
And you gotta know when to hold him, and you gotta know when to fold him.
So in the 80s, this is right around Labyrinth time.
Wait, can we do it?
I don't know.
You remind me of the babe.
What, babe?
The babe with the power.
What power?
The power of voodoo.
Hoodoo?
You do.
Do what?
Remind me of the babe. Okay, awesome.
We
Thank
did
you.
it. We did it.
Oh my
It's
God.
just that has happened to us. I don't know. We've done that like way too many times.
Yep. You think
Sorry.
it'd get old?
Yeah, but it doesn't. But yeah,
Mr.
obviously,
Mom? Perfect.
yeah. No one has ever described Mr. Mom as perfect.
Yeah, they're watching Mr. Mom, and he is just dying during the movie. He is having the time of his life. And then the phone starts ringing. He's like, "Oh, it's probably a crank call." Why would they just assume that the phone call was a crank call?
And why do they not have like an answering machine at this point?
Well, he doesn't want to miss Mr. Mom, so obviously he's not going to pause the movie.
I mean, and especially if he's like Mr. Radio Shack, like get your girlfriend an answering machine, so then they can determine what's a crank call and what's not.
Then it cuts to a guy who's working in the lab late one night, and he's listening to music, so he can't hear that all the the console is going nuts. There's alarms going off and everything. And then it cuts really quickly from there back to Will's house.
And actually, with with what's going on here with Will, we did forget to mention, right before it went to their house, it shows Dustin going home, and there's some noise.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he hears something when he gets home off his bike.
He thinks
And
it's a cat.
they're trying to build the tension, like and he looks around and I guess maybe he has a dog or something, because
It's the cat.
name of
The cat.
Oh,
Muse.
cat.
Muse.
Oh, okay. So he calls the cat a couple of times, nothing. Goes inside, and then it's showing the camera from behind a garbage can of the front door. The door is closed, and then there's like a noise, like something was watching him, and then it had cut to the buyer's house. But
Well,
sorry.
the trash can shaked too.
Or it shook, yeah.
It shook. Yeah. Like it was shaking, and then it cut right into the Jiffy Pop.
Yep. But then, back to buyer's house, middle of the night. Will gets up to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, the hair on the back of his neck starts standing up. He gets goosebumps. And then
He
we're
can-
calling it the Thessal Hydra that he sees. Are we sure that it's the Thessal Hydra?
Was the other thing really the Demogorgon? It's just
I mean,
what they called it.
I mean, they need to play another game of D&D so that we can see what monster they're fighting this season.
Well, but it was at the end of last season. Was the Thessal Hydra, and I think that you can kind of see like tentacles on this thing, or like multiple limbs, and a Hydra has many heads and stuff.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, it has like multiple, like you said, like limbs or something.
Hopefully, they're not heptapods.
It looks kind of spider-esque.
Or octopus-like.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's Cloverfield confirmed.
Ooh. Same universe.
Can't believe Cloverfield is set in the same universe as Mr. Robot.
Who would have thunk?
Obviously, the people who make this and Mr. Robot and Cloverfield. Do you want to take us home, Jake?
Sure. The Hopper is driving home, and his path is booby-trapped. But he set the booby traps. He's just going over them. He does a secret knock on the door, and it gets unlocked. And then there's a spot for two for dinner. And there's a Happy and Eggo. And it turns out it's Elle. She's back.
It's after 8:15.
Yeah, plus she had dessert before dinner, and that is very much against the rules.
I don't know if I've ever seen a waffle considered as dessert before.
Well, it's probably slathered with like maple syrup, which is kind of desserty.
I mean, she was just eating those things frozen before.
So toasted, she must be like over the moon.
Yeah. I said not a ton happened in this episode. It was all kind of set up.
Yeah, I think we've been actually sitting here talking and recording longer than it took to actually watch the episode. But we did talk a little about food.
Shockingly.
I am very hungry now. I think I'm going to eat. So I'm going to wrap up unless anything else you guys want to add. All right. Thanks for listening. Make sure you like us and share and subscribe and all that good stuff. Leave comments. And also listen to the Geek Box and All Talk, where we talk about all the geek stuff. And Manga Machinations and Comic Conspiracy. And we'll see you next time.